Yo,
You gotta
yo,
live
my
it up.
sovereigns, what up? This is Boba Fett,
Bubba Fett, Bubba Fett, Bubba Fett.
uncensored on the internet, with episode 96 of Splinterlands 101. Joining us once again, co-hosts of the show, finest gentleman who ever lived, Matt Clark.
Here's Matt Clark. He's one of the finest gentlemen that ever lived.
Howdy, howdy.
The man behind the Pouffe Pousse, Geotrix.
And Pouffe, Pousse.
Welcome, fellas.
Yeah, good morning, Geo.
Good morning.
And our guest for this evening's show. I guess if you're into like the game big time, if you into you Mav chat, you keep in touch with what's going on, you listen to the town halls, this is a name you would definitely be familiar with. You may even have caught his interview with Bejangles on the People's Guild. Welcome to the show, Azakon. And a fellow guildie, I should mention too.
Yeah.
Gio and I are both in Aegis of Glory. We love Mr. Rogers. So when he started his guild, we just had to, we both left the guild we were in to join Mr. Rogers. So yeah.
So like in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
No
Welcome.
He's Mr. Rogers is one of the greatest guys, you know. Hail from northern Michigan, so you know UPN Michigan. What can go wrong?
Yes, the wild Michigan man.
Yeah.
And we usually start off when we remember asking our guests like a couple of questions, just along the lines of, firstly, how did you get into this space? Because some have come from a crypto background, some have come from a card collecting. People like myself just stumbled in here completely by accident. And the other thing we ask is about your handle. And in your particular case, your avatar there is Clint Eastwood. I know the story because I listened to the interview with the People's Guild. But yeah, perhaps that's a great way to start the ball rolling.
Yeah. So, you know, the Clint Eastwood story has been told many times. So, you know, I'm going to keep it quite short. I like spaghetti western. So that's the background. That's from, you know, for $1 more, the Dollar Trilogy essentially, right? So yeah, so that's the thing, and you know, I kind of have this Dirty Harry aura behind me in Hive, in that kind of carried over to Splinterlands. So you know, I thought, why not?
Clint Eastwood is awesome.
Yeah.
He's 90 and he's still like moving around. Like how? Like how's he? He's still making movies. Like
yeah, can't believe that, right? You know, he's like an amazing person.
He's
like,
amazing, man.
He's 92, I think. So,
yeah.
You know, yeah. I'll be lying on my bed if I'm alive at 92.
Dave, I'll be so brittle.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah. And my handle is Archon. That is my gaming handle for a very long time from my school days.
Wow.
So as you guys know, probably that I'm a geologist. I'm a geologist by training. So when I was in grad school, you know, I was kind of very interested in zircon dating. That's kind of dating a single crystal of zircon by a method like, you know, put a laser beam on it and basically get a spectra of a zircon crystal. A zircon is single crystal zircon. So that's the background of that handle. And it's been my gaming handle for forever. And you know, I just used it when I joined Steam back in the days. January 2018, I joined Steam, and you know. Here since then. Why did I join Steam? I don't know. I was on a family vacation that Christmas in Destin, Florida. So, and my entire family got sick in Destin. So everybody got fever. I have 2 daughters and my wife, they all caught the fever. For some reason, I did not catch it. I don't know why. and I was perfectly healthy. But my rest of the family is so sick, they are just horizontal. So I basically have the vacation to myself. I have nothing to do other than to tend to them. And then, during the day, what I'm going to do, we rented this condo by the beach, and I was just sitting there researching or looking up whatever is going on. I just ran into this blockchain social media platform called Steam. And I thought, okay, all right, well, I don't much like Facebook. So I closed, at that time, I have already closed my Facebook account for, a variety of reasons. I was, when Facebook launched, I was back in school. So I had a .edu address. So back then, you can only have a .edu address. So I had Facebook from .edu address. So you understand how far back that is. So, but then, when it became public, became popular, a lot of the original people, they kind of got jaded a little bit, and I was one of them. So I closed my account, and I was thinking, okay, what's next for social media? And I saw Steam, and I thought, all right, this looks interesting, and been here since.
Nice. Yeah. I was in a similar situation in that I was already off Facebook. I'd closed my Facebook account, but it was a friend who was blogging on Steam at the time. He now lives in Mexico, but he introduced me. But yeah, very similar thing, very disillusioned with the mainstream social media at the time. Yeah. Sorry, Matt, you were, I think I jumped in a second
No,
before.
just about to say it's always interesting to see where people are coming from, and clearly, Zircon, you've got a history of engaging early on things, seeking things out, I guess, new technologies out. It's very easy, particularly as we get older and have kids, it's very easy to just sort of become set in our ways and just know what we like, and that's it, and we're done learning about new stuff now. And I think it's quite telling that the Gio's the only one of the four of us here that I would call a young a young fella, and
Yeah.
so I kind of feel like it's really interesting that there's three older guys like us here who've all seen the benefit and the value in this place. And it might be a history of being gamers, and it might be a history of disillusionment, perhaps with different elements of society and the way things work. But the fact that you jumped on Facebook while it was still only open to educational facilities, because when it was a college-only thing first, I remember when Zuckerberg started it, and I got on much later. It was open to everybody when I got on, but that it's a pattern, I guess I'm seeing there with
Exactly.
You're seeking things out to say, okay, what's new, what's going on, what's cutting edge, what have I not learnt yet? And I think that's a really healthy, if you can carry that attitude over into adulthood and into parenthood, that's a really healthy way to be.
Yeah, I hope so, but I don't try it, just I think natural. So yeah.
Yeah, I remember Gio got me on to Pokemon Go. Because you mentioned you're a Pokemon Go fan.
I am.
So I generally like find something through someone else. I think it's a very small demographic of people who. Oh yeah.
I think I still have mine.
Yeah. So I play every day. I played today.
Wow.
I played today, so yeah.
I used to play on 5 phones.
Yeah.
I used to literally bring phones with me to
3
the
for
park.
me.
Yeah,
3 for me. I have done 3 phones. That's the max. But I don't do 3 phones anymore. Yeah, I can do it without looking. I mean, I have muscle memory.
Yeah.
I can do it like just with the thumb. Yeah. So I can do curveball, great throw without looking.
Oh. Beautiful. Cream of the crop.
Yeah.
There was a time when we used to do little road trips to known nests of particular Pokemon, roaming around parks at 2 o'clock in the morning, like meet the strangest people. in parks at that time of the morning, and they're not all looking for Pokemons.
Here is something, Gio, you will like. So,
Yeah.
the game kind of later on changed to very much like when Raid was introduced. Remember when
Absolutely.
Raid was first introduced, it completely changed it pre-COVID, obviously.
Yeah.
And then COVID kind of hit it pretty hard. But, pre-COVID, I live in Houston. Downtown Houston is where I work. So I was leader of the Houston chapter for the Sylph League. So I can gather like in the heyday, like when the raids first started. Like remember the Mewtwo raids? Mewtwo raids.
Yeah.
I can gather 200 people with one Discord message.
Easy.
Easy. I mean, no problem.
Yeah.
I would have. I was I was the admin for Houston chapter for the Sylph League. So we did so many events. When PvP first launched, we did PvP. PvP tournaments. So many things.
Yeah. It was also huge when COVID hit, when everyone was locked in.
Right.
Massive.
So
Yeah.
then that is the remote raid. They launched the remote raid at that time because nobody can go out and do things. They launched the remote raid, and it was
right. The remote trade, remote everything. It was but now they've reverted everything, and it's like, oh, you guys suck. It's like literally they gave us these things during COVID that we never had before, and now they're just taking it all back. It's like
because we were supposed to be out there doing it.
But no, it's not like that. It's like, oh, guys, work from home, but now you can't work from home. Screw you guys. Like, no, that's not how it works.
Sorry to bore you, the other two guys.
It's all good. So good.
No, it's really funny. I played Pokemon Go a bit, and I'm realizing now how very little I played Pokemon Go compared to other people. But I gave it up when I found myself, because I would catch the tram from work and in the city, and I would find myself getting excited to go past the fountain because there was always a big blue Dratini. I think you could maybe catch a Dratini because it was the fountain in Victoria Square in Adelaide was marked as water, and so I'd get excited going past on the tram trying to, and then I thought, oh no, I can't let this take over, and so I just stopped it there. And listening to you guys, maybe that was a good thing.
That's ironic. Victoria Square in Adelaide.
Dragonite was a big deal back then, right? Dragonite was because you want to get a Dragonite, and it's nearly impossible at that time to get a wild Dragonite. The only way to get it is evolved from the Dratini, and you need a lot of candies. And Dratini it's incredibly rare. So actually no, it's 100 from a Dragonair. So 25 to Dragonair, and then 100 Dragonair to
True.
Dragonair.
I'm thinking about
Gyarados. You were thinking about Magikarp to Gyarados.
Yes, I'm thinking about Magikarp to Gyarados. That's correct.
Yes, that's 400.
I haven't played in years, right? Like I haven't played since all that bullshit.
So it's not a fair comparison because I played this morning.
I'm level 47 still.
Yeah.
And I haven't played in so long. Like that's how.
So see, you're probably continuous. I stop and go. Like I completely stop sometimes.
Yeah, that's me.
So I am only 44. So I am only 44 very recently because I very recently again picked up. I did not play for like 2 years, and then I picked up again. So
that's how I feel right now. Like I haven't played it in like at least 2-3 years, I think. And I'm still at level 47. It just shows you how hard I used to play. Like unhealthy. Like it was actually criminal. Like I should not have been allowed to have those multiple phones with like hour packs and like cords coming out of my man bag and
power bank, 2 power banks.
Actually, it's funny. I bought a power pack specifically for that reason because um, it sucks through the juice on your phone pretty quick when
Yeah.
you're using out there, and that's the reason that I bought the power bank. But that came in so handy when I was traveling. Like,
Yes.
so I still have it. I've got an 1100 milliamp. Still have it today, and it's funny. I bought it for Pokemon, but the greatest use I've had from it has been from other things in life. Yeah.
Everybody who played Pokemon Go had a power bank. I mean, you cannot play the game without a power bank.
It's true.
Yeah, indeed.
I'm picturing you guys like Ghostbusters out there.
Geo, for
Big
sure.
thing that-
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? I had a lot of good times with that. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
there is a lot of similarity between the Pokemon game, like the main series Pokemon game and Splinterland. You know, that is one of the reason, you know, I got hooked to Splinterland because, you know, it kind of comes, I started with the main series game, like, you know, in Nintendo DS, 3DS and all that, and then Switch and all. So, you know, it's kind of very natural, the card stats and, you know, the
I know.
health, the
I know.
shield, all of that's very, very similar, right? So
Yeah. And I also thought about this. Like it would be easier to tokenize Pokemon, like the game, than any other game.
yes, yes,
Because they already use items. Like, you know,
yeah,
like they already
yeah. All
itemize
kinds of
everything.
items, all
Yeah.
kinds of items. There are thousands of items.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
it's insane. Like if they ever wanted to be, you know, I don't know, like Niantic and Nintendo are so they're so difficult to work with apparently, and so like they love their IP, like they're so protective,
Yeah,
like they will.
they're very protective,
I
right?
reckon they murdered people over IP. No, I really think it's that dark. I really do think so.
Like Pokemon Company, I think the worst is
Yeah,
probably the Pokemon Company.
yeah,
Niantic is, you know, it's the offshoot,
true,
right?
true.
But the Pokemon company, they are incredibly protective of their
Yeah,
original images, which is IP.
they're
They consider.
hardcore. The Japanese are hardcore on IP, and
Yes.
and even like Super Smash Bros. Again, Nintendo, like no one can get like
Yeah.
any rights to like spin off from it. No,
Yeah.
you have to be you have to be Nintendo to do that. You know.
Yes.
So you find a guy who's been electrocuted with little paw prints all over him, and you know it's like he's Niantic sent out a hit.
Yeah.
Oh shit!
It's the deep
great.
underground of Japan is all Pokemon.
Yeah.
The underbelly of Japan, the Pokemon like world. Yeah.
So, well, what do we think then of Holozeng? Is that anyone have any thoughts on that? That looks very Pokemon-esque.
It is. It is.
I don't know if they're gonna get in trouble there.
I know the guy launching it, you know, Acid, Matt. So, you know, I know Acid very well. So he forwarded me, and, you know, I kind of looked very briefly. And I mean, there is nothing wrong with it. I mean, it's like you said, it's so much like Pokemon. I mean, I don't know. This is a space. How we get into trouble that we don't know. The issue I see about that, and that's just, you know, from my selfish community perspective, we are so small in Hive ecosystem already in Splinterland. I don't think we can support another game right now, because I mean, unless we get a huge influx of money externally, which I don't know where it's going to come from, it's very difficult to sustain another game. And what we'll do without the money, if we launch a game, if we launch a full-blown game where you have to spend money, what will end up happening, we're just going to cannibalize each other. And that's the fear I have, you know, right now, as we speak. Now, if the community gets bigger, if we get, you know, people externally, you know, yeah, I mean, that can happen. That can be promising. But, you know, right now in the closed ecosystem is very, very hard from my point of view.
I can relate to that with the TerraCore because I've been getting my stats up. I've got my stats around the 200 mark mining, and I've been looking at some of the NFTs to like help with my stats. And then I look at how much it is in Hive, and the first thought that pops into my head is, wow, how many cards could I get on Splinterlands for? So I've got this much Hive. But anything I put into TerraCore is something that's not going into Splinterlands. So
That is your
already,
cannibalization.
yeah,
right.
yeah,
You are doing that on your head. Right?
yeah.
That's what you are doing.
Yeah,
Mhm.
you're right. But I guess the cool thing about Holozing is they are using their own token. The only thing they're using is Hive, right? They're not using SPS. Am I wrong?
No,
So
they're
yeah,
not using. Yeah.
yeah.
But
Okay,
it's still the same people, though, right? It's a relatively small community
Mm,
of the
mhm,
same individual, right?
yeah,
Unless you get completely new individuals from
true.
elsewhere, it's if you have to
You're
spend
right.
money on a game, it's we as a community have a more or less a finite amount of money, right? Give or take. It's a finite number. We don't know the number,
Absolutely.
but it's a finite number. So
100%.
unless you get it external, it's hard.
Well,
I guess
let's hope
there is I guess a counterpoint to that could be that there are. I mean, we don't want to see any attrition from Splinterlands over to Holozing as necessarily caused by Holozing. There are likely people that are just kind of a little bit sick of Splinterlands now. They're like, yeah, I've done that. I got some gains. Oh, look, here's something new. And rather than cashing out entirely, they move over to Holozing. So I think maybe if we look at that, if we look at the movement of money between the two projects and just assume that Holozing has caused that, ultimately competition is probably good because there are people who are looking to get out of Splinterlands, right?
Yeah,
and they're like,
absolutely.
I don't want to move into Fiat and then I'll get taxed on it and all that. But if there's a way that they can diversify a bit and maybe even sell up entirely and move across to Holozing, that's I guess a counterpoint. Then obviously if we do manage to attract if they manage to attract new players from outside, obviously that's great.
Yeah,
I hear what you're saying though.
And this is totally okay. And but think about it from this point of view. Right now there is no game there, right? They're just thinking about a game. It's basically alpha right now. So who knows what happens 1 year down the line, right? It can be very successful, and if it is very successful, I will be supportive of that, right? Because I am in the ecosystem, so I will be supportive of that. But I do not want to get into it like right now at this moment, because it's not going anywhere. It'll happen. Whatever happens in front of my eyes. So I'll see, and when the time is right, I may or may not be at the absolute ground level. I don't have to be timed that precisely, but as long as I can get somewhere at the ground level, that's probably okay. I was not the first person to buy Bitcoin at $5. I did not mine Bitcoin on my PC. So not planning on that.
It's every time I hear the stories, because I had friends that were into Bitcoin when it was not economic to mine because of electricity costs. But when you're not looking, you're not looking. And it's because it's amazing when I think back in hindsight, the number of times the conversations I could have got in earlier if I'd been in that zone. But I mean, I've always been interested in new stuff, but not interested enough to ask the right questions. That's when you know when you're looking, when you're asking the right questions. Are you like, is that you? Like you mentioned that you're research driven. So you have 100 questions in your mind and you just go looking for those answers. Do you seek people out?
Yeah. So, sometimes, and, I don't know, you guys know Dave very well, Dave McCoy, right? Dave and I, we talk all the time, publicly and in private. I really love talking to Dave. And Dave always calls me that you are the cynic, right? You are the cynic. You are the bear, right? So I am always been that way. I am the cynic. So and that's intrinsic to me. So whenever I look at a project, I look at it critically and perhaps too critically. And what that leads to, oftentimes you can look at 100 different things. And if this is VC space, which is this, right? This is a startup VC space. The VC success rate usually is 1,000 to 1. So one project out of 1,000 becomes successful. So what that does to you, if you are a cynic, you actually have a very good track record, right? Because you are going to reject most projects, and most projects are not successful. So, you are everybody's hero, right? You are very prudent, but that is statistics is on your side. You are not any good or better. You are just rejecting so many of them. If you are a cynic, and in this space, everything gets rejected. So you are successful. But that also means when is that next big thing comes in, like Bitcoin. If you think about Bitcoin, that's the next big thing at that time in 2008, right? If you got into Bitcoin in 2008 and 9, it was a VC. Think about it as a VC. And I knew about it, I was in, like I told you, I was in Facebook very early. So I know about Winklevoss twins, and, they invested, they got out of Facebook. They invested in Bitcoin, right? They invested into the Gemini exchange, and they got into Bitcoin really early. And at that time, I knew about them, but I thought, nah, this is not going to go anywhere. They are kind of second grade. This has nowhere else to go. So I did not do anything with it, right? So, but hindsight 50-50. So you reject a lot in a VC space. In your mind, and you can be very successful, but you will miss the next big thing. But if you flip it on the other way, if you're very, very positive, and you in your VC space, I have done that too. Like I tuned my mind, like during the main crypto bull market, right? During 2020, the first summer, the Ethereum summer, 2020 summer. On that summer, everyone was launching a token, right? Everybody is launching a token. I remember at one point in time, I had like 140 tokens, 140 different tokens, and fairly large positions in them. Now, fast forward 3 years, 4 years ahead, I probably have 3.
So, do you think the lockdowns had a lot to do with that? Like people just had time on their hands?
Yes, absolutely. Lockdown has a lot to do with that. I am quite certain of it.
Yeah, I think the most I got into was probably maybe up to 15 tokens. And you touched on a very interesting point when you're looking at a startup. It's like, it's not just the idea, because you think, oh, that's a brilliant idea. How come no one's ever thought of that before? But the people behind it, are they going to carry through? Are they capable?
Yes.
Like whether it's Dan Larimer or whether it's Matt and Aggie, it's like you've got to look at who's behind. And when there's no information about them available, like how do you make that decision when you know nothing about the people?
And see, in our space, in our little ecosystem, and Matt is very well aware because Matt spent a lot of time on Math Chat. There is this 2 school of thought, right? Okay, we need new ideas. There's a group of people in the Splinterlands system. They're going to say, oh, we need new ideas. We need new elements, new system processes to create and compile these ideas, right? And then there is another group of people, and I am in that group. They will say, okay, all right, you have this 100 different ideas. How are you going to implement them? you don't have the money, you don't have the people to implement them. You cannot even implement your base case, your basic thing that you already have listed that you are working on, and you are behind in implementing that. How can you pick up on 20 more things and implement them? You just ain't have the money or people, right? So oftentimes it's not the idea. Anybody can have an idea. I mean, I see good ideas all the time. It's a completely different thing to implement them. It's a whole different ball game.
Yeah. It's
Totally
like
agree.
when you're lying in bed at a ridiculous hour of the morning or something, and an idea pops in, you go, oh, wow. But is it strong enough to put your feet on the deck, to get out of bed and write it down? Because you know that that's going to be gone by the time you actually wake up.
Yeah.
Is it powerful enough to actually get out of bed? And I think that's the point you're getting at there when people have ideas.
Thoughts
I
are
think too,
easy.
there's a, yep.
Matt
I
has
think-
a thought. Matt, go ahead.
No, it's, I feel like there is in Discord, and obviously we've had a few flare-ups recently with different personality clashes, but there is in Discord I feel there's a level of people are here and they're passionate, and it's great that they're passionate. Wonderful. That's what we need. And they have ideas, and in a way that's the only way they see that they can contribute.
Yeah.
So okay, this idea might be unwelcome, and maybe it needs to come 5 years from now, and maybe it's unworkable for 3 reasons that only Yabba knows. I don't know, but I'm going to put it up here because I want to contribute to the game. I want to help. I think a lot of that mentality needs to shift from, okay, instead of me focusing on how I can change and improve the game, I should maybe turn around and look outward and say, how can I be an asset to the game?
Yeah.
How can I spread the word? How can I take what's good about various aspects of the game and ingratiate myself with other communities and drop the name here and there, right?
Yeah.
Help onboard people. How can I? And there's a level of personal responsibility that I think comes with that you might be unwelcome, and it's, oh, that sounds like work. What I can do is it's just easy for me to just assign myself the role of the guy who magics up ideas and then just sprays it all over Discord and then insists that that's how it's done, right?
Yeah.
Because that's not hard work.
And Matt, you actually raise a very, very good point. And it's not just it is great if people like to contribute, but it is also, they need to understand, okay, you have contributed, you have shared your thoughts, right? And then people are giving you feedback that, that thought, we cannot implement on that thought. We just don't have the money, okay? At that point in time, it's not personal. Nobody is pointing fingers at you. There is no reason to feel bad. Oh, my idea is not taken. But that is the mentality a lot of people have, right? And that's one of the things I think, and it's not easy to handle, right? You are one of the moderator, Matt, and you struggle with it a lot, right? And we all struggle with it, right? Because if people take that personally, it is very difficult to communicate to that person. It's very, very difficult. And they would take it the completely wrong way and wrong direction, right? And we have cases like that very recently, very public, very nasty cases on that. Somebody has an idea, they want to modify a proposal on the 5th day. In the middle of the proposal, I'm talking about Clay's proposal and the whole weird beard incident, right? So that's the idea. That's a fine idea. There is nothing wrong with the idea. If you have an idea, you can put together a proposal and forward it to the community. And the community will evaluate. There is a process associated with it. Just because you think it needs to be modified and packaged in this way, that doesn't mean that the rest of the community agrees with you, one. And two, just because rest of the community do not agree with you, there is no reason to feel bad about it. It's not personal. So that's what I struggle with a lot. Matt is a mod there, a moderator, so Matt has to handle this all the time. And recently after this Clebion things went a little bit out of control, because people were talking about his salary, and everything kind of goes in circle on the $60,000 salary, and which I think, personally speaking, I feel it's quite disgusting. We are talking about a human being, and why are we talking about his salary? And just think about how hard it is if you are on the other side, and if 50 people is telling you what to do and how they're going to decide what to do, how would you feel about it? And then on top of that is your salary. And is $60,000 too much, too little? That is not a discussion. That is a proposal with a fixed amount proposed. If you like it, vote it. If you don't vote it. Downvote it.
Yeah.
Right? And that should be the end of it.
Yeah. I guess as an academic yourself, you'd be well familiar with ad hominem. It's like when you don't actually have an argument, when you don't have anything to support what you've got to say, you just attack the person rather than their argument. It's said all the time in peer reviewed stuff. It's like, let it go, let it go.
And I feel so bad about Clay. Matt, I am speaking like my heart here. I feel so bad about this poor guy, and as if like we are hiring a janitor or a Discord moderator. That is not what we are doing. This is, if it is my company, this is what I am going to say. We have a blockchain technology startup, and we are hiring our first executive. And we want this person to work for us, and this person needs to be happy and feel needed. And what instead we are saying, like, if any simple thinking individual will look at it and say, dude, why I want this in my life? I don't want anything to do with it. Like, what kind of people are these?
Yeah. I think there's a couple of components to it. One is that not everybody has the history with Clay that we do. So we've known him for a long time, and people believe that trust that's built up over time is nepotism. Oh, it's just because we like him. We're blinded because we like him, so that's a weak point to us, and we're looking after our mates. And if it's somebody who feels like they're on the outer, they're not part of the inner group, and they think maybe there's secret discords where they can't. And I'm not in any secret discords, just for the record. But if they feel like they're part of they're outsiders, and there's the core inner group who always look after each other. And look, I get that's how the world works, so it's reasonable to think that. And so they don't understand the impact that Clay's had on the community and the like, and they don't necessarily get that. Excuse me, frog in my throat. Then they're gonna be perhaps undiplomatic in their in the way they put things. I also think, zooming out a little bit, the banning bots in modern, I think, was while it was a good thing for the game, I think the way it was handled was something of a misstep. So there are a lot of people who believe that we finally banned bots in modern because we were salty enough in Discord. They say we hammered it and hammered it and hammered it, and we pushed and we made enemies and we were abrasive and we were obnoxious, and we finally got it and we saved the game. They pat themselves on the back. And Matt, in all honesty, I think Yabba needs to step in and say no. All of that salt in maps, all of that, no, didn't have the slightest bearing on it. You know what changed things? And you try to, put this as well. You try to mention it's all stake based. You know what got rid of bots in modern? It was SPS stakers voting to get rid of bots in modern.
Yeah.
Someone put up a proposal, it got voted for. Now it's done. 2 years of whining about bots in Discord did nothing, and it needs to be made clear, because people think now that their contribution to the game is whining in Discord about things they don't like until it changes, and they believe that they're the only reason. They stepped in and saved the game from the bots because they were salty enough in Mavs, and that can't be what progress looks like in this space.
Yeah, exactly. And you know the funny thing, that proposal did not came from you, that did not came from me, that proposal came from a guy who is almost virtual nobody. So there is always this thinking that whales are pushing their agenda. How many proposals did you push? How many proposals did you publish? 0. How many proposals did I publish? 0, right? That proposal came from a guy from UK. He has not a Mav, as nobody has $5,000 in the game, and we voted the proposal. And again, this ain't democracy. You know, this is one thing that people got to understand. This is not a democracy. This is a stake-weighted governance. If you don't like what stakeholders are doing, buy some stake and vote. It's as simple as that, right? That's the way stake-weighted governance works. You want to contribute to the game? Let's say not everybody has money, okay? So there is always this thing that comes in. I don't have money, so how can I contribute to the game? And everybody wants to contribute to the game, okay? You can write about the game. You have an idea, write about the idea, and see if people can buy in to your ideas. Not spend 100,000 BEC and push a proposal. I'm just saying, talk to people, write about it, make a video about it. Nobody is going to downvote your video on YouTube. That option is not available. And, you know, because this downvote thing always comes in, right? And there is a reason for it, that it comes in. Go make a video on YouTube and, you know, have a discussion. I was talking to Aftersound. I was actually talking to Aftersound just before this. And I said, Aftersound, you are not a whale. You do not have any significant stake in the game. However, you are a contributing member of the community. People talk about you. People know you. Why? Because you regularly contribute in the ecosystem. You make videos. Boba Fett is not a whale, right here. He has some stake, but, you know, he's by no means a whale, right? He's a long-term contributor of the ecosystem. Why? Because we are talking right here. This is how you are making an impact. Not everyone needs to have an impact with stake. But the voting will only work with stake. You can, if you want to build a consensus, what does consensus building mean? You know, if 4 of us in this chat, in this video stream, if we agree on something, let's say we agree on Pokemon change a lot of people's life. If 4 of us agree on that, that's a consensus. And we have built the consensus, and it would take us 1 minute to do that, or less than that, right? So this does not have to be this complicated. Yeah. And people make it personal and complicated for no reason. And, you know, people are thinking, okay, we pushed certain agenda that, you know, whales are putting certain agenda, right? Think about it. In this game, the largest whale who votes, which is Vaktis, has 1.5% of the stake. I have about 1%, just about 1%. In order to push any proposal over the threshold of 67%, me, Vaktis, Matt, you, top 20 whales, if we all vote, we cannot push the proposal past 67%. That's not possible. Yeah. That just simply doesn't work, okay? So you cannot say that we are pushing an agenda. Well, of course we are going to talk on certain things. I asked Matt, can you vote on this proposal? And Matt can say, well, maybe yes, maybe no. Matt, we have discussions in the past, and sometimes you have voted the same way I have voted. The other times you have voted in different ways than I have voted. And we are still friends. We have never had a disagreement on anything. we have voted differently on many proposals. Why can't this be this simple? Why it has to be personal?
I think you nailed it there with the whole consensus, because consensus is the framework of the matrix that we build our reality upon. So, rather than recognizing that the universe is what we conceive, most people believe the universe is what we perceive. So we look at consensus, and then our mind, which is simply a tool with limitations, our mind builds barriers around that and says, this is reality. And the moment you try and change another person's reality, you get defense mechanisms, you get cognitive dissonance, because the mind doesn't like to be wrong. The mind will rather kill you than admit that it's wrong. And this is what we're coming up against. People don't like their reality to be changed. Even though reality is so subtle and fluid, but as long as people believe reality is rigid, you're going to keep getting this problem.
Yeah.
Actually, a key example in my life, I guess, when I was traveling around and stuff, looking around, suddenly everywhere you went, you started seeing people with selfie sticks, right? And I don't know if they were invented in Japan or not, but the Japanese were the
Yes.
first massive wave
Yes.
of it.
Right.
And I'd go to some spot and I see all these people with selfie sticks, and I would just look and I'd go, what a wanker. Like, why on earth would you do this? Like, look at yourself. And when I first started getting onto the blockchain, like I said, I'd left all my social media behind. Kurt got me on, and I was trying to find my niche, I guess. I was blogging. I did a couple of academic papers looking at that market, but then I started blogging about philosophy. I thought, okay, this is, because you've got to find your niche, right? You can't write to everyone. And my experience with videos at that time was extremely limited. I'd never made a video, but a friend of mine, Kurt, the guy that got me in, I knew him originally from the hip hop scene here in Melbourne. And I wrote a rap about back in the Free Man on the Land days. And Kurt wrote the beat, the music for that. He actually recorded me rapping this. He made the video, gave it to me. So all I actually had to do was create a YouTube account and upload it. Simple enough, right? But that was my only experience with videos. And as I started getting into the blogging, DTube came up big. And Ned had delegated something like 2 million steam power to DTube to help them get started. So there was a lot of money to be made. I mean, back then I was making a video a day, and like a DTube upvote was like $120. It was a big deal. But I just didn't have, so I never even thought of video as a possibility. And then one day I was watching one of Kurt's videos, because he was vlogging. He had a Paradigm, what was his channel called? Paradigm, I can't remember, but he had a fairly successful channel on YouTube at the time. And I watched one of his videos, and he was walking around this fountain in Guadalajara with a selfie stick, like doing his thing. And then just one tiny piece of data changes your whole reality. And it's like, that's what I need. I need a selfie stick. And that started my DTube role, which honestly, I would not be here today doing this if I hadn't bought a selfie stick back then. So my entire reality changed from one tiny piece of data. And sometimes that's all people need, but everyone needs something different. And until they get that.
And you don't know what you need.
Yes, exactly. The things we don't know that we don't know, that they're always going to pull us down. Yeah.
Sometimes we don't know until it's too late.
You need to be able to hold your ideas outside yourself, though, right? So if not having a selfie stick was a part of your personality, if you'd identified a group of people that have selfie sticks and said, I'm not one of them. I'm not in that group, right? That's part of who I am, is that I'm not. Then that would have really clashed when it came to buying one. And even though that was the right thing for you, you would have gone, no, I'm not going to do it because I'm not one of them. And that's where I think it's very easy as a con for people to feel personally attacked by you in Discord, because you're quite I'm going to put it relentless in attacking ideas.
Yes.
But looking at what you say, right? You're attacking ideas and not people. The problem comes when people conflate the two and feel like when you're attacking their idea, that you're attacking them as a person and who they are, and that's a maturity thing as well, is getting to the point where you can put your ideas out there and you can champion them, but that you can also watch them burn up and be destroyed horrendously and go, oh, okay, I guess that idea wasn't right, and not have that affect you, right? And that's, look, we've got a range of ages and maturity levels. There are people who are still teenagers, right? And we've all been there, so it's kind of a it's a growth process. But that's where people say, time him out, and I keep looking at your posts, and I think, well, no one sent me a screenshot of when you actually said you're an asshole or you're a prick or you're whatever. Like, there's no, but you've said, no, that's not going to work for this reason, or you need to do this, or get more stake and then you'll have more. It's more about attacking ideas and concepts than individuals. But it's very easy to feel like you're being personally attacked, and unfortunately, you've got something of a lynch mob out there now that are all agreeing with each other that you're the bad guy.
And that's okay. That is see, this is a great discussion, and I'm going to start by quoting you, Matt. So you said that I am undiplomatic in certain ways. You said that today, and I think that was a great statement. And you also said, I do not know why. And I will tell you why. So everything that I do is extremely deliberate, right? That all undiplomatic thing, I want to be that person. And this is the reason I want to be that person. So the reason is quite simple. You cannot have a voice, a random person come in there and hurt our team. And I say our, again, very deliberately. And I've been told about that. Why is he saying we? Why is he saying our? Why is the plural? Is he a team member? No, I am not a paid team member, but it is my game. I am a majority contributor. I'm a majority stakeholder on this game. Of course it is we. So when you abuse Clay, when you abuse Matt, when you abuse Aggie, you abuse me. That's the way I feel. This is my home. Okay. So I have to get out there and I protect them. I have to do that because you know what? This is a public forum and anybody can say anything, right? If there is no moderation, anybody can say anything. And the loudest voice always prevails. And you cannot leave the stage empty. If you leave the stage empty, whoever's out there is going to go and bark and talk and push their agenda. And if you let it move far enough along, then that is going to be the voice and you won't be able to control it. We have seen that all over the world recently, didn't we? Right? You cannot let left the stage. We see that in almost every country. We have seen that politically. I'm a very political person. I am very proudly a very political person, and I think politics is not essentially synonymous to corruption. Politics is one of the things that is true since the Stone Age. Like Neanderthal man probably did politics, right? It is as old as the human civilization. So it is part and parcel of us. And we cannot let the stage empty because then, people are going to get up there and going to push their narrative, push their agenda, And at that point of time, you won't be able to control it. So that is my reason of being abrasive. And I will never be abrasive to a human being. That is not me. So, you are looking at me. I am a brown guy in the United States. Okay. I am an immigrant. I'm from India. Yeah. So, okay. And people tell me I am racist. So, okay, how can you possibly call me racist when, I'm an immigrant and a brown guy in southern Texas?
Of all places.
Of all places, in South Texas, I am a brown guy, immigrant, and you are calling me racist? Do you think this is going to fly anywhere? So, and the way I handle it is very simple, right? When they were talking about the $60,000, whatever the money is, I would always say, oh, I know if you are from India, $60,000 is a lot of money. It can change people's lives. Now, are you going to call me racist because I said Indian? I am from India. I know how much $60,000 is in Indian rupees.
Yeah.
I know exactly how much that is. The conversion rate is about 100, is 82. In the black market is 100. So, $60,000, you got to add 2 zeros to it. Okay. So, that much money. So, you can, if it is $5,000 a month, it is, and it's 500,000 rupees is actually called 5 lakhs. So, I am from India. I know this thing. Okay. So, and again, we are hiring an executive. We, if you think about it, we are not hiring a janitor. We are hiring an executive. And if you go to Mumbai and, look up executive salaries on startup, 500,000 rupees is not going to buy you much in Mumbai. It's an extremely expensive city. It is not going to buy you much. People actually over there who are tech executives on a blockchain company, that's how I'm going to advertise, because that's what we are. Right? We are a blockchain startup and we are hiring an executive. They sport a much higher salary than this. So Clay is essentially doing us a favor. So, we kind of went in circle on this, but it boils down to this. That is the reason I am undiplomatic, because if I don't do it, see, I have a very thick skin. So if people come in and, he's the bad guy, he's the sheriff, the lynch brigade, go for it. Nothing happens to me. I am going to be where I am. I am very comfortable in my skin. Go ahead and take your pick. So I'm going to use the dirty Harry, come on, punk, make my day. That's
the
what
good,
I'm
bad,
going
and
to
the ugly.
Yeah. And look, again, zooming out a little bit, every story needs a villain, right? So if people in Discord want to see you as the bad guy and then they come up against you in a brawl, right? Then they're like, oh, I really want to beat this guy, right? He's that guy who's just been mouthing off in Discord. I got to take him down a peg. Like, by all means, do that. Like, we don't all need to be friends. We're battling each other. Maybe we can be enemies.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. I am totally comfortable with that. Go ahead and be that, right? Go ahead and be that. And, again, most of the time I am talking process. I am talking logistics. Like when I say this proposal is not going to pass, how do I know that? I know that because I have talked to 10 people already, and I know how much their stakes are. I can add.
Yeah.
Go ahead and you can add. This is not rocket science. If you have an idea, if you have an idea of a proposal, why are you burning 100K DEC? Why don't you write a post, make a video, talk to people, gather opinion and see if your proposal can pass. You can add, I can add, you can add.
Try to get the community behind you before you actually make a proposal and send it through and pay that 100K.
That's exactly right. So when you write the pre-proposal, it is already quite late in the process. You should not be burning DC and writing a pre-proposal with a half-baked idea. You need to actually write it down spent several weeks gathering momentum, getting people buy-in, and then write the pre-proposal.
Yeah, 100%.
That is exactly what Clay did, by the way. I actually asked Clay to go to every single, large stakeholder and get their opinion, get their buy-in, right? And that's what he did. He could not manage it for all of them. Like, he was busy doing other stuff. It is not easy to, go to 20 people and, send them DM and get their response. But he did as much as he possibly can. And before the proposal went live. Okay. And that's the right way to do it. Most proposals that pass, like Dave's proposal, like the battle helper proposal, anti-bot proposal, Dave came to me, right? Dave came to me saying, okay, this is the idea, and this is what we're thinking. Would you support it, or what do you think about it, and things like that. It's no big deal. And I do not have any magic wand that I wave and I say, oh no, this proposal is going to pass, or this proposal is going to fail. I know how to add. Just
reading the stratigraphy.
Yeah, that's right. It's no big deal, really.
Yeah. Actually, just to backtrack a little bit, one thing you mentioned when you said you're not a diplomat, and then you explained your reasons. I've always been of the mindset myself that diplomacy is what destroys your integrity. You cannot have integrity when you start being diplomatic. So we were in complete agreement on that. But then you surprised me when you went on to say that you're political.
Yes, I am. I am very political. So, my parents, they are one of those people, and my whole family, effectively. Back in the days, like in the 70s, where things were different, not quite like this, they were 70s people, and they would go out there, demonstrate. They would go do picketing. They would go into the police line and get arrested. They are that kind of people. Right? That's how I grew up. Yep. So they really believe the cause, whatever the cause is, whatever they're supporting that particular day, they really believed it. And they thought that's the right way to do it. So politics is passion. Politics is your human integrity. That's the way they have taught me. And, that's who I am. I cannot escape that. So that is me.
What about a politician then?
Yeah. So a politician a present day politician, that's complicated, right? That is almost synonymous to corruption, right? Yes. But that is not meant to be. That is not the way politics is designed. And I will respectfully say, maybe at the top level, when you go to if I'm talking about United States, House or Senate, if I'm talking about India, Member of Parliament, Australia is similar things, Member of Parliament at that level, maybe that is the case. But go to a city level, go to a little county, you will see there is a truck driver who is the leader of the city council. Right? I have seen that. There is a truck driver who is the leader of the city council. And the only thing he wants to do is do the right thing for his city.
Yep.
And he has no other political motive. He's not there for the money. He just wants to do the right thing for the community. Yep. They still exist. They exist out there.
So decentralization of government, the more centralized government becomes, the more corruption sets in to that. So on that side of things, I guess, are you Republican?
No, I am not Republican. No, my original thought process, both my parents, they're communists. Mm-hmm. They were communists. So they were. We are from West Bengal, and that has a long standing. And now, when I say communist, most people here, they do not understand what that means.
Yeah.
They absolutely do not know what
Clueless.
that.
Yeah.
They're
Because they
clueless.
just.
They're thinking.
Yeah.
They're thinking Putin. They're thinking
Yes.
Putin is communist. They're thinking Stalin is communist. That's what they're thinking because they grew up in this.
Yeah.
But they're not thinking Allen Ginsberg. They're not thinking Allen Ginsberg. Allen Ginsberg is actually American, right? The labor movement is from the United States of America. Is back in the days.
Yes.
I understand. Things have changed. So no, I am a Democrat.
Mm-hmm.
So that is the closest thing to communism you can get in the United States.
Yes.
So you have to choose a side, and I would always choose a side.
Yeah.
So politically, I am in the United States politics. I would be a Democrat. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a good point too, and you mentioned like people's ideas, and when you look at whether it's democracy, socialism, or communism, they're all great ideas, but
Absolutely.
we do not have a working example of any of them anywhere.
Right.
Bad
Right.
actors.
Exactly.
Bad actors all at the top.
Yes. Yes, that's absolutely right. And think about it this way. If in present day, if you come to I'm from here, I'm talking United States, but same is true pretty much in almost every country, right? Okay, so you said, what's your political belief? I'm a Democrat, I'm a Republican. Oh, if you are a Democrat and I'm a Republican, I cannot talk to you. Is that the right way to do it?
Tribalism.
Complete opposite of what should be
That's
happening.
the opposite, right? If your political belief, if you are a Republican and I am a Democrat, I would actually be even nicer to you in theory, right? Because I am crossing the line. I am communicating, and you are doing the same. And due to my personal biases, there are certain things I could potentially be missing, which you are going to educate me. So you are my best friend for all practical purposes. That's the way it used to be. But it's obviously not like that anymore anywhere. But we live. What can we do?
Yeah.
People have been turned against each other and weaponized in their thoughts to attack the other that is different from their own group, from their own, from their own standing.
Which is exactly the same thing happening in Splinterlands. This bot versus no bot, right?
Yeah.
So either you have to be pro-bot or anti-bot. And if you are a pro-bot, you cannot talk to the anti-bot people.
Yeah. Yeah. And yet on this show, we've had Sylar on a couple of times from Xbot. In fact, the first time we had Sylar on the show, no one had ever heard of Xbot. Like he came from out of nowhere, completely left field. Last week we had Arashad on, who was well known, I guess, for running many bots. And then we've had like actual players on who've been sort of anti-botting, but recognizing the need for communication. And literally what we've done with the Wild and Modern, we found a middle ground from the two sides. So I think, like you said, people who recognize the situation and who have stake, not necessarily SBER, but stake, they're willing to talk. And the people who just fart in your general direction, Monty Python quote there, they have no stake. Yeah.
In the end, I guess how I look at it, because I'm not a huge stakeholder, but I guess I'd rather the top who have more stake to vote towards things than the ones who have the least, right? Like at least I think they would care a bit more. That's how I look at it. The more stake, the more
think
care.
Think about it. Matt has much more to lose than you.
Yeah. So I'd rather that way of things, to be honest.
Yeah. And I usually ask Matt when a new proposal comes out, I'll ask him on Discord, what do you think? Like, which way are you looking? And he won't just say, I'm going this way, going that way. He'll tell me his reasons why, which is, that's what you want. How these people think. Because if you want to be successful, you need to understand the way that successful people think, because that's how they got there. So yeah, good point, Joe.
Yeah, in the end, all we can do is have a go. We'll see how it goes, and that's it. Just see how things work or not, and that's it. That's all you can do. You trial and error. That's the whole point of systems.
Yeah. All right, so we got 3 minutes, just 3.5 minutes before Zoom cuts us off on the clock.
Wow.
So
Already?
yeah,
Okay.
it goes so fast.
I
So
have to go anyway, gents.
Yeah,
I have
me
to.
too.
My daughter has to go there, and I have to groom my cat. I have to send her to the. I have to send her to get cut. So
which one?
Yeah.
for Frankie, the ragdoll, the fluffy white one. It leaves hair everywhere.
So, Azcon, any parting words of wisdom? Anything you want to promote or plug or put
No,
out there?
it's basically, I like your channel. I think you are doing a great job. All of you are doing a great job. I think we need this, and this is how you are contributing. For Matt, Matt is a moderator. I think recently I have been proposing for a long time, give volunteer moderators more power, and I think that has been happening. And I think that's a step in the right direction. Clay is not a moderator; you are. So that's you need to be given authority and power. So I think that is a step in the right direction, and I think right now we are at a good spot, and I think from my point of view, future looks very bright. I do not have any financial inkling on this game. This stake that I have, it is not any meaningful part of my net worth. If this whole thing goes to zero, nothing happens to me. I get to keep these friends. I get to keep all of you. So that's my point of view, right? That's my point of view. So that puts me in a very unique spot, right? That puts me in a spot of no conflict of interest. I only think about the betterment of the game and how the ecosystem is valuable. So that is how I can elevate other people, because ultimately our original vision of the project is peace, prosperity, and liberty, right? That was our original vision.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
blockchain. Supposed to be.
And right, so that's the cause, and I will do anything for that cause. I do not care if people call me bad guy. I am comfortable in my skin. So that's totally all right. So thank you to all of you. Thank you for what you do.
Thank you for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure, and it's always
Agree.
you're very passionate, and that's when you get the real truth. Truth comes from passion.
All you're missing is the cowboy hat.
I have one. Next time I will do it.
Yeah, and you're in Texas too, so you can get away with the cowboy hat.
True.
All right. So thanks for joining us on episode 96. We will be back next week for 97. Until then, I'm Boba Fett. Peace out.